In game 2, Qiyana was not banned and also not picked, so they feel like the priority of that pick has dropped. However, they'll still first pick the Azir like they did in game 1.
I thought that was clutch for a second. I was like, this is interesting. You're right, it's CLG. They're going to take Azir here, so no worries there. Caitlyn, Corki, Yuumi on the clutch side, so taking out all those bot lane threats.
Rakan.
It's up. It's available.
Just do it, is what I would expect. They did Xayah Skarner in game 1, but knowing that Skarner is gone, I would not be too shocked if they do both of them right here.
Maybe they feel there's enough value in like snagging this edge, but they want to do that. But I agree, I think Xayah Rakan is just too easy to take here. Yeah,
because if they Sedge, they can still threaten the Aurelia, and it's also if they don't think that Biofrost has a high priority on the Rakan, knowing that there was a Xayah without a Rakan that CLG picked. I wouldn't fault them for doing either thing right here, because I don't think Rakan will be taken away, even if they don't lock it in.
Vulcan also looking good on the champion, but it does seem like Lira is asking for some priority here in the draft, so he will take Gragas as his pick of choice.
Yeah, Gragas is a jungler that had a very, very high priority in the LPL playoffs and in some other regions, even if its priority is not as high here. Definitely able to take over some mid games. Actually, game 2 of the last series these two teams played against each other, I believe Lira he definitely had double-digit kills on the Gragas. I don't remember the exact total, so definitely some comfort there.
And of course, remember, Spot at Worlds is on line potentially. There is Rakan for Biofrost. Going to join the Kaisa, so just taking the bottom lane away that Clutch wielded in the last one.
Oh, Damonte, that's the Manor Hover of Ziggs. After seeing the Rakan getting taken away, I'm a little disappointed that Clutch ended up not taking it, although they're due the Nautilus as well, which is something that Vulcan has a fair bit of success on as well.
Yep, has played Leona, something else he likes into Rakan, but Nautilus, I think a very similar idea. You all in him, he's very squishy. So just make sure to cut that mobility and shoot him down. Into phase 2 of bans we go now, and I expect a lot of continued solo lane attention. Clutch have not picked either solo this far. This has actually been pretty consistent with their drafting so far throughout the series, whereas Azir is already selected here for CLG. Sejuani, though, the first ban for Clutch, going to use that early jungle pick to try and move Wiggily off the comfort pick.
Yeah, I think Sejuani Jarvan will be the bans, and it'll push him to something like a Rek'Sai or an Elise.
He's played Xin as well, I think, in recent memory, but we'll see. CLG expecting again the opposite here, maybe targeting either Huni or Damonte. I can't imagine Aurelia is getting through again, but Qiyana certainly not getting through either.
Well, they got one more ban left, PastryTime, and the Aurelia and the Sylas are still both available for Clutch Gaming. You can't imagine both of them go through, but we've seen stranger things.
Certainly have already today. As Clutch, you mentioned Jarvan, that certainly follows logically as far as continuing to ban out junglers and push Wiggily down, and lo and behold, Jatt is correct. That is the final ban for Clutch.
Yeah, so could be the Aurelia here, but that also leaves open Gangplank still. Huni hasn't even had to pull that out, which is one of his best picks. Gnar is something he can still do. You can't actually ban out Huni with this final ban. But seeing as they had just lost to his Aurelia twice, this is the correct choice in my opinion.
Yes, I agree. You have to take a player off a champion they're clearly playing hot on. So they do that. They'll ban Aurelia away. That will leave something up for Clutch here. So we'll see what they take for pick number 4.
They can do Lux again if they want to. If they feel like that's a good matchup into the Azir. Damonte did completely fine in the laning phase, and they have a lot of setup CC for it. So it's a good choice.
Also helps Cody out, giving him even more ability to stay safe in fights. So Damonte just takes the counter pick he's shown already. I think makes sense, especially because you don't want to show anything else.
Yeah.
Given that if you sweep this series, you'll give TSM less info for tomorrow.
The Fiddle Hover. The Fiddle Jungle.
It's not his usual hover of Warwick.
I know, I think.
All right, Ruined
Oh,
GP.
wow. I'm a little surprised to see the Ruined GP, but that is a takeaway from Huni, and we'll push Huni towards the offensive in that. And then we said Rek'Sai or Elise for Wiggily. Seeing as they have the physical damage up top with Gangplank, they're allowed to go the additional magic damage from Elise, and it does pack quite a punch early.
And Wiggily, I think, going to be gifted a bit more early aggression. That's not exactly what I expect.
Though.
And that is Nocturne locked in.
All right, crash bot lane. That's what this composition is all about. Get level 6 on Ruin, ult it, while Wiggily ults with Nocturne as well. You don't see much Nocturne nowadays, but if Wiggly's not ganking pre-6 anyway, might as well put him on a farm to 6 jungler like Nocturne and try and get Stixxay far ahead.
Well, CLG showing their hand. We'll see what Clutch respond with here for their final pick. Huni will be forced to play. Oh, of course it is. Lucian top.
Oh my.
What else but Lucian
top?
Oh,
Man.
All right, so
I said this was 2016 Huni last game.
Yeah?
And now he's pulling out Lucian top in a big best of 5. Why not?
All right, so the reason is that this is actually quite a good pick in the Gangplank.
Historically, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a good laning matchup against GP. The Grasp GP with the Potion Master has a lot of sustain, so it is actually pretty difficult for the Lucian to actually kill the GP, but especially if they're going to be willing to play towards it at all with the GP, it is something he can be lane dominant with. You got to worry about him a little bit more later in the game, though, if he's getting dove by the Nocturne, Rakan, Kaisa party. It's Huni playing off confidence, for sure.
Yes. Again, Huni is certainly a player that when he is feeling it, he does a lot of things you saw in the last game on that Aurelia. This has historically been a pick that Huni's, been memed about in some ways. And I think Huni's career in North America, especially compared to his 2 other tours in EU and Korea, has been a far cry from the success he's had there. But this is the time, if Huni can carry Clutch 2 worlds in some small way that vindicates a lot of what he's been struggling to do since he came to North America. He started off hot, but he could never quite convert for a title. If they sweep CLG here en route to maybe taking down TSM for the last spot in North America at the World Finals, doesn't matter what he's playing in top lane, Huni's gonna feel good.
Man.
You don't want sad Huni, you want happy Huni.
Yeah, this is a fairly uncommon pick this year. So I just went back and looked at top 5 competitive regions, so that's LCK, LPL, LEC, LCS, and LMS. And it's been played 9 times all year, top lane. 3 of those times have been into GP, and it has won once. That was the Shy against Gangplank fairly recently in the summer split. So uncommon pick, but still very exciting to see.
Right, you know what? I'd like a little bit of additional insight, so we're going to throw it down to Only May, standing by with Clutch's coach, Artemis.
Thanks, guys. Artemis, 1 more game for Clutch to take this series. That being said, almost a mirror of Detroit. So are any of the players getting flashbacks from that 3rd place match?
Yeah, it was the first thing we said in comms after we won game 2 is here we are again, 2-0 up against CLG. And it's important that they don't shy away from it and accept it. We knew we'd be here again with the position to close against CLG. After we lost in Detroit, I told the guys, this is something that only happens once. We'll learn from this, we'll be better. And that's what we're here to prove.
Well, tell me about the team mental coming into this game 3, because we heard the players say, we had to learn some lessons about cockiness. And then we saw Damonte hover Ziggs, and then Huni coming in very confident with his top lane Lucian.
I mean, I like it when they play cocky. I like it when they play confident. I think confidence is one of our biggest assets, and so we encourage that. But at the same time, it is important we stay humble and we stay focused on our objective. And again, they have one thing to do, and it's do their job. And we'll play as a team, and we'll win.
I'm excited for this game. Thank you. Back to you guys.
Love the confidence, and also a confident start by Lira and Huni. Blast coning over to take the blue buff. This is particularly because they're expecting Wiggly's Nocturne to hard farm in 6. It'll be interesting to see if he reads what just happened since Huni got caught running upriver. It could have been a fake, it could not be, but it would imply that Wiggily should try to play some vertical jungle. So if he's expecting it to happen, you would see him then path towards here, take blue, take this, take that. But if he goes up towards his Raptors here, there's a good chance he goes through the rest of his jungle and then is left completely empty. So that's the steal that Lira just tried to go for, and if Wiggily doesn't read it, he's going to be starved for experience.
Well, we'll have to take a look on the minimap after the Raptor camp is complete. In the meantime, Damonte getting things pushed in early versus PowerOfEvil. We did see him do well in this matchup, although maybe not this early. We'll keep track maybe a bit closer this go around as we get more info, and Wiggily has just...
Yeah.
He's about to get some bad news, Jatt.
What's really interesting here is that if he wants to check this part of the jungle, he still can, and that's why I like the fact that Lira has actually started on his blue buff right away, because the expectation would have actually been that Lira goes from one quadrant up into the other. but instead he's actually switched it up. Just a ton of mind games coming out from Lira right now, which are fairly likely to starve Wiggily of experience.
Yep, now actually back to the red side of his jungle, and Wiggily looks like he will finally cross over and
But Lira's still level 2. He definitely needs to be level 3.
Yeah, gonna need to take down a little bit more of this now. 3 smites there for both. The Wiggily will at least be able to smite the big raptor away. Here comes PowerOfEvil as well, getting the shove back in onto Damonte, so can assist his jungler.
I'm just trying to parse exactly what Lira is doing. He has so many mind games, but because he spends so much time in transit, he's actually down on camps. Would they try and fight Wiggily? They're outnumbered for this Scuttle Crab, so actually Lira ends up, despite all the successful mind games, Wiggily gets level 4 very quickly because he got the smite on Raptors and actually did check the top quadrant. Something that could have gone very wrong for Wiggily actually doesn't.
I'm curious to see where Wiggily goes now, because you have to kind of guess which buff is up. I mean, we know Lira.
Well, he could have seen the timer on Lira's blue buff and realized he didn't get a blue of his own. Now he's just used the brush plant to see the blue, so he knows that's up.
Crab is down though, so he's spotted. Damonte though gonna get attacked here. Has the flash get through, but doesn't land it on both. Wiggily though burns the spell shield. Damonte forced to flash away. Forward flash, here's Azir. Needs to get
Wiggily
the soldiers up though.
too.
Lira trying to make something happen. Wiggily gonna have to commit. Uses the fear, and finally CLG turn up first blood.
Such a great start for CLG in this game, dealing with Lira's counter jungle towards the blue buff, and then also getting first blood onto this Nocturne. And now his camps are actually coming back up in sequence, so Wiggly's going to be able to hit level 6 at a good timing, as well as already having first blood. Couldn't ask for a better start after everything that happened.
Again, Damonte, maybe just not expecting this, but not much he can do. Good flash, but that's about all the good news for him.
Yeah, I actually think that Lira might have been able to save Damonte if he body slammed in for Wiggily on the ramp. Since Wiggily did have flash, he was going to chase Damonte down unless he was stopped, and Lira wouldn't have died for body slamming on the ramp. So I think that could have been avoided by Clutch, but Damonte falls for first blood.
Well, I will just once again echo Artemis's words that we just heard. This is something that only happens once. We'll see. CLG at least off to a good start. 500 gold ahead, getting first blood. Certainly a different opening to this game than we've seen in the first two, but Huni is just being a bully here in top lane.
Yeah, Ruin just needs to be patient. There's a big wave coming back his way. He can pick all of it up. As long as he doesn't let himself get harassed too much. You have to be willing to give up a few minions as the GP against the Lucian matchup. And then he'll be level 6, and CLG can start crashing bot side with dives.
Yep, certainly a good thing to make note of as we keep track of Wiggily's ascent towards level 6 as well. As you mentioned, in champs like Jatt is all about just putting the ultis down in the bot lane and trying to take down Cody and Vulcan. Gives Stixxay a nice early lead. Wiggily is on the way, going to take down this wolf camp and be maybe 30% of the way to 6. Ruin in a similar spot experience-wise as Huni. Going to let the culling rip, just harassing Ruin before Huni likely taking a trip back to the fountain.
Yeah, I think this is actually very good for CLG. I think it's a big missed opportunity for Clutch. So you got to see there how low Huni could get Ruin by himself. If all of the jungle shenanigans would have gone Clutch Gaming's way, you would have actually seen Lira there ready to die Ruin when Ruin is level 5 before he hits 6. That's when that lane is actually supposed to win. But because Lira got pushed back, because Damonte died, they didn't have the ability to invade that side, and therefore couldn't go for a dive, which means Huni doesn't actually have an early advantage, even though he was able to chunk Ruin low. Now Ruin is level 6, Nocturne is level 6, and it's CLG's turn to play offense.
Yeah, we can see even Stixxay and Biofrost just in the 2v2, getting the lane pushed up, which is something they've not been able to do as much in these opening games. It is interesting to see teams trade melee supports here. Nautilus, of course, not a whole lot he can do except all in.
Yeah.
But Cody and Vulcan, not too upset by what's happening. Cody's still farming very nicely.
Yeah, still quite perplexed why both CLG and Clutch have shied away from playing Xayah when they have a very clear opportunity to get both. I feel like that's something that should be looked at if this series is to continue. But even so, with level 6, they are looking to at least push in and make sure they don't push too far because Nocturne is on the loose.
Yep, Cody pushing back through, so we'll just trade the waves back and forth as Biofrost and Stixxay gonna try and freeze this wave, make sure it doesn't hit the turret and lose them any precious minions. Damonte continuing to chain ult the wave here, just trying to get the push happening. The PowerOfEvil with the blue buff is relentless in his assault of the mid lane outer turret.
I mean, Clutch actually needs CLG to make a mistake because CLG has all the pressure right now. As long as they have Nocturne and GP ult up, they're free to make a play. They're looking to do a dive onto Huni here, and he's backing off because he knows there's people coming.
Yep, use the ulti, goes straight in, TP from Clutch. Ulti there from Ruin, but that's going to force the flash of Huni. Here comes Damonte looking for the save. Do they re-dive? Looks like CLG say no.
Good save by Clutch Gaming right there. I'm very surprised that CLG didn't try and use that pressure bottom lane. That's where the GP ult is actually best used. And since Clutch actually couldn't do anything aggressive while GP and Nocturne all were up, you want to hold those until you can get a for sure conversion. The fact that they used both ultimates and didn't get the conversion means, again, it's now Clutch Gaming who's able to do stuff again. They were completely trapped in a holding pattern until those two ultimates were used.
Lira ready with his ulti. We'll see if he maybe wants to go visit some of these waves. Damonte also forced to return back after the TP top, so is running a little bit behind on CS. As PowerOfEvil, no real interest in leaving his lane. Going to be about 11 between the two here, so a wave and a half up for PowerOfEvil once the dust all settles. Huni, though, back to business in top lane, already back with the build toward a Cutlass. TP's back in and wants the plate gold.
I mean, he's so happy. He lived. He survived the Nocturne GP ultimate, so he doesn't feel like Wiggily would stick around. He was right, and that assumption is actually able to get plates for himself.
Damonte finds the snare there onto PowerOfEvil. Able to get some good harass down. But again, just some minion trading back and forth. Not sure how much time Damonte is going to get to leave without his teleport. So I imagine we'll just see them push waves into each other, back and forth for a little while longer. Yes, maybe something here topside. Lira going to visit. Huni with a lot of pressure. At least going to open up some space to get more plate gold for himself. Ruin has to kind of live in pretty consistent fear of a dive happening here for Lira. So you can see Wiggily going up to the top side as a result.
Yeah, Wiggily, it is possible for him to gank without ultimate since he has flash. Should be respectful of that, but here's Lira mid.
PowerOfEvil, ooh, what an ult there from Bio in the mid lane. Damonte, ooh, he's maybe going to burn down. Stasis there, Ignite does not tick off on Biofrost. Stays for the last auto just in case. Ruin in the meantime still under fire in top lane.
So much pressure from Huni, but a successful kill there by CLG, actually roaming up towards the mid lane. The kill does go to Biofrost, though, so not the best distribution of gold if you're looking for PoE to jump ahead.
It is kind of the counter logic thing, though, Jatt. You saw the comp, you said them they're going to do this thing, and they're basically doing the opposite as Biofrost roams up here.
You're playing around bot. Nope, time to roam everybody mid lane, but it is good. I mean, Lira thought he was there for the counter gank. Biofrost actually gets the stopwatch out as well as the flash from Damonte, so a repeat gank, save from a Nocturne, would be very effective.
He's back. They're all back, actually. Knock up, oh, barely land.
Dead.
That's enough for the killer instinct. Wiggily with the ulti, now going to continue the passage of play. In onto Cody they go, but they are going to snare the Nautilus up. It's a Rift Turret fight all over again, but this time it's CLG that find themselves first at the scene.
Let's see if they actually convert this one, though, because we've actually seen them take out Huni early before. Lira chasing into the river. They don't have river priority either, so PoE's coming over.
Damonte also ready to go. Lira going to get tagged by the Kaisa W, but Damonte's ready with the ulti and a snare, maybe. I think they're going to have to give up and reset at the Herald. Both teams going to back away slowly.
All right, CLG continuing to pick up some small kills here and there. It's just a matter of can they break it open into an advantage. Definitely their best early game of the three. And with Clutch knowing that they were reverse swept 2 weeks ago, they have to find a way to correct this game.
Also, everyone's staying here in the top lane. So I guess just going to be forced to fight 2v2 here as the Rift Herald continues to be an attraction.
Yeah, I mean, Biofrost is flashless, so they'd want to go, but they just can't get mid priority. I mean, look at these control wards in the river. PoE consistently shoving in Damonte. Damonte being flashless, stopwatchless, can't get a push in the wave. It's really difficult for Clutch to do anything, knowing again that those GP and Nocturne ultimates cycle through. Now they're at a point where GP ultimate is up again, meaning Clutch has to be careful with how they spend their aggression.
And Huni is staying in bot lane. He cannot join without TP here. Doesn't have a global ulti like the GP, so he's staying for plates. He'll collect some gold selfishly, but that does give CLG the opening to take this Rift Herald uncontested.
Yeah, they're going to have to use it really quickly, too, to get these plates down. Huni, funnily enough, has basically evened the gold because this is the 6th plate. If he gets this one, the 7th plate he individually has picked up. He'll get at least 7 or 8 plates by the time all is said and done. Let's see, though. CLG should be able to get this whole turret. The question is, can they get it before Huni does?
Well, yes,
Probably not.
Yeah, the race is on, and that Rift turret was delayed a little by the minion wave. Stixxay going to stay. There's those plates, but Huni going to get it. That's so much personal gold here for Lucian.
Yeah.
He is up 2,000 plus gold on Ruin.
Yeah, 8 plates will do that for you, as well as having a 50 CS advantage. So that part of the matchup has actually been Clutch's saving grace throughout this game. The jungle wasn't actually able to help him, so everything Huni's done in this lane, he's really done on his own. Just an excellent early game by Huni in the first 14 minutes, keeping Clutch in this game.
And second Drake also goes over. Thanks to the splitting of the map here, CLG are going to get one final charge.
Kill the Herald.
Cody doesn't want to auto the Herald.
Doesn't want to show because Bio could ult him, but he wants to stop the Herald.
All right, you
Got
guys
it.
do it. Stops the charge. Stixxay tags him. Wiggly's ready with the ulti. Cody also ready with his, so no dive.
Yeah, Wiggily yet to find a Nocturne ult kill. Remember, his first kill was a first blood that he used at level 4. Clutch has been playing relatively safe with their turrets, but you really wanted to see Stixxay get ahead off of Wiggly ultimates. Not to say he's not scaling whatsoever. He's only 9 CS down to Cody Sun Xayah. Overall in the game, it is a 300 gold difference, but double mountain over to Clutch Gaming, not to be ignored.
Yep, Biofrost kind of getting all that gold, having 2 of the kills. You can see 8 to 5 in turret plates.
Yeah.
That is
And those
1,280.
All to Huni.
Yes.
3 top, 5 bot, I believe, for Huni. Maybe it was 1 or 2 to Cody Sun. I'm actually not 100% sure, but almost all to Huni. Tons of gold for him.
Yep. There's maybe something brewing here around the mid lane. Biofrost has been on point so far with his engages. Again, surprised to see him not play Rakan as often as I'd expect. Lira with a great combo over Bio. Gonna dash away to PowerOfEvil.
Clutch still looking for their own first blood. Couldn't chain that CC because Damonte had used the light binding earlier. So some near misses by Clutch so far in this very close game.
I think Damonte must have, yeah, just 1,900 gold to go and spend. In fact, both mid laners have been sitting here farming for so long, just pushing the waves back that none of them have bought in a while. There's not really anything to take. The Herald's gone. There aren't any obvious turrets that you can just go ahead and rush down. And Drake's not spawning for a few more minutes. So they'll take their bases now. Luden's finished for both. But I think, again, continuing to have eyes on Huni. Phage plus Blade of the Ruin King already completed. Ruin is still searching for just that first Trinity Force.
Yeah, 1,000 gold advantage for PoE over Damonte. So the Lux pick not working out nearly as well as it did in game 1. A lot of that does have to do with just falling early. And Biofrost playing very confidently. If one of those bindings lands, probably dies since Vulcan was in range, but good sidesteps by Biofrost consistently.
Lira and Vulcan here in the mid lane again as both teams try and fend off these back and forth wave clear battles. Wiggily also roaming down towards the bottom half of the map, and CLG are playing to that side as well. Huni, though, knowing this, has to respect the potential pressure, so backs all the way off to between the 2 towers.
Yeah, and unless Clutch can be very quick with their kills, they can't make any substantial plays unless they know where Nocturne and Gangplank are, because the power of those 2 ultimates joining is too great, which again is why Huni is just sitting back at his turret. He can't hold that, knowing he could be completely dove in. But as long as Clutch is trading, they're in an okay spot.
Yep, Cody was top lane, so they'll just go ahead and take the trade. I mean, Stixxay and Ruin are sharing some gold here, which isn't really what you want either.
True.
So Stixxay will get that, which I think is the right place for it to go, but Clutch still going. Gonna push down this top tower. Ult there from Ruin, forcibly used onto the wave. So that will stop the push from Clutch, but significantly reduces the pressure of any sort of cross-map from CLG.
Yeah, and we're also going to have to pay attention to the farm distribution from CLG, because they actually have 4 carries that all really benefit from farm. Oftentimes when we see really fed carries that are at 12 CS per minute, that's unnatural CS. It means you're actually taking from someone else's pool. It doesn't seem like Wiggily is giving up any CS. It actually feels like Ruin is the one who is not getting waves. You notice that Stixxay and Ruin were sharing experience. He's the one that has not been getting that much of his own farm, and that'll hurt come late game if he actually never turns into that powerful game.
Yeah, again, still woefully behind Huni 1v1 in gold, but that's not too surprising given the situation. It does seem like the teams are waiting for this next Drake to spawn. It is an Ocean. Clutch already with those first 2 mountains, so also curious to watch Huni. If he does force Ruin back and get some free time on the turrets, he will do a lot of damage with very little time as Vulcan looks for Biofrost, but Hook doesn't land, doesn't want to burn the ulti. Both teams continue to dance around this mid-section of the map.
Yeah, a 20-minute Ocean Drake is about one of the worst times you can have an Ocean Drake if you're looking towards it being an important thing to take. So I think there'll be more interest in actually getting a fight or getting a mid lane turret down than there should be put on the Ocean Drake. If Clutch is near it, sure, they'll take it, but I don't think they should put a high priority on security.
Huni also roaming up. Could be a 5v5 in short order.
So aggressive.
Ulti from Wiggily. Who's you want?
They're split.
Yeah, they are split indeed. Dives onto the Lucian. Biofrost follows up. They do get the fear down, and that's a kill. Biofrost again able to collect it, but CLG gonna fight this 5v4. Cody gonna have to try and make something happen. Ulti not quite. No, it was! Vulcan gets the last little bit of the last hit, and Clutch find a trade.
The Ignite actually is what last hits Biofrost, because the final spark just perfectly timed to actually hit Biofrost before his flash. So even though Huni is split off with the darkness from the Nocturne ultimate, no one on Clutch really knows where he is. Now they might try and flank, because CLG, as we said, going for that mid-turret.
Oh, they thought Lira was maybe in the Drake, but this could be such a problem. Cody is low, though. Binding lands on the Ruin. He oranges out. Team's just battling here. Clutch gonna TP back in.
Famous Lucian TP, he's in to take the Drake.
All right, well, you know what? At least he's gonna try and secure an objective. Damonte has the task of fending off the rest of CLG. And it looks like no one back in time to get this Drake away. Oh, Lira gave an opportunity, but no steal forthcoming.
All right, Infernal will be up in at 25.
There we go.
That's the battle Drake. At that point, CLG is hoping to be strong enough to fight with the strong scaling from Azir and Kaisa. Let's watch this fight one more time. Huni, so aggressively trading. I think it's really smart of Wiggily to ult right at that moment. And then Huni just had nowhere to go based off of his initial positioning. So the fact that Clutch can pick up another kill, Wiggily probably shouldn't have stopwatched at that moment, because it did allow the Lux to combo him down, nearly picking up a second as they caught Bio in the crossfire.
Yep, he did get out. So everyone returns to wave clear mid lane. As Huni going to catch this wave here in the bottom half of the map. So on the carries that you're mentioning, 2 items for both Stixxay and PowerOfEvil, mirroring their counterparts in the lane for the most part. PoE up on Damonte most certainly, but does feel pretty even between Cody and Stixxay. We've talked already about kind of the mismatch in the top lane, but I think CLG are good enough to find a fight here in the mid game, just with the Azir and the Kaisa. So yes, Ruin being behind isn't ideal, but I don't think it's going to cost them too much if they can execute the right fight. Wiggily in again. Depth charge being burnt. Biofrost again with the quickness, finds a knockup on the other side. Stixxay dives straight in. Vulcan already dead. Very clean shot there from CLG. Oh, Huni in there though.
Whoa.
Nice ult from Lira to try and turn it back around, but can't really find it.
The darkness is really messing with Clutch in this game. You can see the starts of these fights. It is a bit of an art to play against Nocturne, and you have to get used to listening to player comms while it's happening, trying to just mouse over where you think the sound is coming from, remember where your teammates are, because it's things like this where in a straight up 4v4, Clutch probably would have been fine if they did not have such limited vision, only being able to see 600 units in front of them. Spectator Client doesn't tell the full story of what Nocturne actually feels like to play against, so you can see CLG just winning the starts of all these fights because of the darkness, since neither team has a front line either. So the starts of these fights are just so incredibly important, and the fact that Clutch can't really start a fight with confidence while Nocturne ult is up is constantly giving CLG the first step.
I also like that not so long ago, Rakan ult felt pretty undodgeable, and then we changed it because it felt a little unfair. I get kind of similar feelings when you can't see and Rakan runs at you, because you can't see Rakan.
Yeah, there are certain AD carries like Kog'Maw who used to be really bad against Nocturne because you couldn't actually see your max auto attack range with W while Nocturne was ulting. So it just made you a shorter range champion, the fact that the Nocturne ult was there. And in the same way of the engage range of Rakan is literally outside of vision. Makes it very, very hard for Clutch to deal with these engages.
All right, well, CLG so far so good as they try and chip away here, mounting another reverse sweep. Still plenty of play left here in this game, though. 3 Drakes for Clutch versus the 5 kills to 1 there for CLG. And all told, the gold lead is just above 1,000. So 23 minutes in, still plenty to look for. CLG will feel confident in the team they picked for themselves with all this late game. They need to continue to try and find good fights. Again, trying to line up in mid, but trigger not pulled just yet for Wiggily.
Yeah, and Wiggily with the Black Cleaver has his ultimate cooldown down to 81 seconds. So normally the suggestion against Nocturne is fight during the windows where Nocturne ultimate is down. But the later the game gets, the smaller that window becomes, and it's putting Clutch in these really uncomfortable timers where they lost that last fight, and by the time the death timers are up and they're reset, Nocturne ults up again, and here we go.
Yep, looking for a bit more defensive. On to the backline he goes, though. CLG will commit for the fight.
They didn't get him.
Wiggily looking to go down. Is fucked in. They actually get him with the GPL. They find 2 before the Nocturne falls down, and CLG still going at it. They get almost every kill. The flash over the wall for Lira, and Stixxay gonna nail this final kill. No, it's Biofrost again that finds it. That's the ace for CLG.
They were dealing with the Nocturne, but they forgot about the Gangplank. Barrel shot over the wall onto the entire Clutch Gaming team. We were talking about how hard it was for Clutch to deal with these Nocturne engages, and finally, this was the big one that breaks open the game for CLG.
Baron it is for CLG. I believe their first Baron of the series, in fact. As Wiggily, hilariously, the only one not to get it. But it didn't matter.
So much work.
Yeah, and have to agree. We talked about not being able to see Rakan. Can't see a lot of the CLG damage as it comes in when you can only see barely in front of you in the dark.
Yeah, it's easier for Clutch if they had a real front line, but they don't. So anywhere he goes, notice PoE goes over the wall, no Nocturne or no Nautilus ultimate. Wiggily is kind of in on his own, but now that they do have their vision back, they've used all their cooldowns, and Ruin just blows them up with the barrel over the wall. Then they all get kind of caught in the Raptor pit. PoE making his return to the fight at the very end.
Like Stixxay just flashing the Raptor wall too. CLG starting to pick up a little bit of momentum. Wiggily going to take down this Infernal Drake. Not a bad one to get with the comp they've drafted. Little pit stop there before they continue the siege with Baron. Still 2.5 minutes left to try and make these plays. Lira in trouble. Going to force the ulti out. CLG playing smart. Wiggily around the back perhaps.
COD can play this pretty slow if they want to. They have the Baron buff, they have the scaling on the Azir and the Kaisa, and now even Ruin has reasonable items despite being held back so much of the game. Thinking about how we got to this point, so much of Clutch's strategy was really about crashing top lane with Huni and killing Ruin 3-6, but the jungle just didn't work out for them there, so they're never able to actually break the game open from that point. And now COG has kind of come together with all their ultimates and found play after play.
Yep, Stixxay nice and strong here as well. Huni going in. Uses the blade in on to Stixxay. Wiggily going to be the next target. Lira no ulti, so can't reach as Vulcan was trying to find the depth charge. But CLG back off. Re-siege mid and bottom lane. Damonte with the ulti tries to clear out what he can. Not enough with the Baron. Empowered minions. The CLG knocked down their 4th turret. Going to make it 5 very soon. As Stixxay continues to work on bottom lane.
Yeah, if Clutch does go for an engage, that's when COG would look to wipe, but for now they're just going to chip down the turrets over and over again. No need to hard force for COG with a minute left on this Baron.
And despite the 3 items here for Stixxay, he's still playing cautiously around this Lucian. Clutch have 2 pretty strong marksmen at their disposal, so CLG can't be reckless in how they approach this, but that's usually not the CLG way. I expect them to just methodically knock down these last few turrets. Never mind! Biofrost straight in there, finds the engage again with the Nocturne. Does get zapped down by Huni at the end of the day, but GP ulti cleans up the Lucian instead.
Whew, Wiggily got taken so low there, but yep, another one fight by CLG. They can keep running that since there is no true frontline for Clutch Gaming. Baron buff pretty much out though, 8,000 gold lead, and still a difficult game for Clutch Gaming to come back from.
Ruin's really not gonna, really not gonna kill that last little Raptor as I watch this one again.
Yeah, Lira, no dash, which means Biofrost can go in for the catch, perfect knockup. However, the Lux ult does turn around a huge amount of damage. That was very well played by Damonte to nearly turn it around, and even with that, they still lost the fight.
Well, lost the fight they may, but Clutch did hold on to their inhibitor turrets. Only 5 now for CLG. Clutch will kind of force another Baron up siege to really break their base unless CLG can find another picture-perfect fight. So CLG up about 7,000 gold, which is significant. Easily the biggest lead they've had so far in the series. See how they can close here up against Clutch with the advantage they have now built for themselves.
Huni, another top lane Lucian attempt. But really, this game is going to bring back some fairly recent memories for both teams. If CLG closes it out, it would infuse them with confidence, knowing that they have beaten Clutch 3 games in a row. Just 2 weeks ago in the 3rd and 4th place match, and Clutch Gaming, despite getting 3 early Drakes, never pulled ahead in the gold lead and gotten caught out time and time again this game. Although Cody on 3 items, he's going to hope to make something happen.
Oh, Biofrost! That ulti not quite there for Lira, though. And they're going to go in instead. They dive in onto Cody. He's going to be forced to flash away. Sorry, that was Damonte, but low in the back line. CLG just too strong on gold. Snipe! Glance on the Vulcan. Stixxay going to get payback for that last game.
That slow-moving Kaisa W kills so many people. Gets another one in that, especially with the Nashor's Tooth for the extra damage. But CLG, knowing Baron comes up in a minute, won't get anything big off of that one. Whew, could have been so much worse for Clutch.
Yep, no need to do anything silly. It's time to reset and go back towards the Baron. Double Mountain there for Clutch. Obviously can threaten it pretty swiftly on their own. Another Drake up in 40 seconds if they want it, but seems like Baron is going to be spawning at the same time. It makes sense that that's the biggest prize on the map. So CLG already back over, going to get their vision down.
Yeah, and look at the vision control in this top side of the jungle. There's really no Clutch Gaming vision whatsoever beyond the inside of their base. So knowing that they not only have no fog vision, but also have to respect the Nocturne engage, means Clutch can really only go through mid, which is what they're trying to do right now.
And Wigglily's ult back up in 8 seconds. So all the ultis ready to be used once again here for CLG, and they have not been particularly shy about starting these fights.
Yeah, CLG's feeling very confident. They're just going to go for it.
Yep, again, GP ult into Nocturne ult. Rakan going to run in as well with the quickness. Going to try and find it happening. Resurrect there on the Nocturne, but Damonte again with another big laser, but Clutch just trying to fight their way out of this corner. They do find Ruin, but a shut down Cody Sun going in, but that's too far for Cody as Stixxay just shoots him down.
Cody really wanted to make
again, okay, Damonte got
play,
it.
But a good flash by PowerOfEvil as Damonte dodges that. They might get the Mountain Drake out of it all. I can't completely fault the play for CLG, but I feel like they could have been way more patient.
PowerOfEvil
die.
He's going to try and get a kill. Actually, yeah. Now in a 1v2 that maybe he doesn't fancy. Onto Lira he goes. Plenty of damage for the Azir. Great ult there. PowerOfEvil going to try and make the outplay. Shuts down Huni. Chases Lira. PoE's feeling it.
Yeah, and the end of my sentence is he might die or get a double kill. That's clearly what he was thinking towards the end. CLG now up 17 kills to 4 with the Baron. Such a bounce back game for CLG and really trying to play with confidence, because going back to that fight in the mid lane, we had gone over how much vision control they had, how impossible it was for Clutch to actually check them. But instead, CLG sees them in mid lane and just says, all right, Scryer's Bloom, so we can give you a target for Nocturne ultimate and then chase them in. The fight actually was, I think, closer than it had to be because CLG could have pulled that off much more cleanly, but the result is still the same. They get kills, they get the Baron. Sure, the third Mountain goes over to Clutch, but Mountain Drakes are only good when you have objectives to hit, and we're going to watch PoE's 1v2 right here. Probably wasn't expecting to see 2 people. It goes all the way in, and now it's just a matter of how can he keep Huni at bay while he kills Lira, who doesn't do nearly as much damage. The ult was well timed. He does get stunned, but because he had enough soldiers out, all of them turning to Huni right after the stun was done to get the auto attack is enough to pick up that kill for PoE.
And we saw the Azir in game 1. We knew PoE had the potential to make things happen on the champion, but CLG honestly just never really got anything going in that game. Very different story this time around for the CLG carries. A combined 7, 0, and 15 for PowerOfEvil and Stixxay.
Yeah.
CLG just looking to knock down these inhibitor turrets and send themselves to another Game 4 versus Clutch.
Yeah, wanting to keep this season alive. Remember, Regional Qualifier is the last chance to go to Worlds. The winner of this will go into the play-in stage at Worlds, of the Regional Qualifier, that is, after they face TSM.
This is a good look. Wow, that flash from Stixxay just gets out from under that slow-moving Nautilus hook. Vulcan not quite having the timing there to finish that one off, and good thing too, Stixxay must be protected from any potential all-in, as CLG are trying to siege down the rest of these inhibs. They took bottom already thanks to PowerOfEvil. The Clutch Gaming always willing to pick a fight they think they can win.
There'll be a very small window. Lyra's flash will be up before Stixxay's flash, or Zony's would be, but that's why they Nocturne ult. They're not willing to go in though. This could give an even bigger window for Clutch. Yeah, so now definitely, if you see Stixxay step up, look for Lira to all in on Gragas. Knowing that Nocturne ult isn't up to follow.
10 seconds on Vulcan's flash as well as his ultimate, so there are potential spaces for Clutch to try and attack here. CLG must tread carefully. Oh, with the finding on a Wiggily. Good spell shield to get off the laser damage. Cody also took too much on the other side from the Azir. Lira now on the front line, gonna get knocked down. Killer instinct there from Stixxay. Weaves the last auto through, and Lira burns the flash just to fall anyway.
It's just that kind of game for Clutch. Lira was making the look while all his carries took too much damage from Azir, and Lira just ended up getting soloed by Stixxay, since there's no way he would have had follow-up. I think CLG should be able to close it from here with Lira down, but we'll have to see if they can get the fight.
Fowls again looking to chain in. PowerOfEvil back, he TP'd in. He's going to try and finish up the game. Biofrost with a wonderful engage. He's going to leave Vulcan out to dry as Stixxay able to grab that kill. Huni face checks the Emperor of Shurima, and that is not warranted this game. PowerOfEvil has taken over alongside the rest of CLG, and it's going to happen again. CLG going to dive in, going to take down the turrets, and give themselves another shot at Game 4 versus Clutch.
Well, the sweep is not going to happen. The question now is the reverse sweep on the table. That it still is.
It's on the table.
But so is a 3-1 or a 3-2 for Clutch Gaming. Still plenty of series to play here. And finally, CLG took care of business on their blue side games, right? PoE's Azir, very effective. They take advantage of the first pick this time. They don't lose bottom lane, and they control the top lane enough to deal with Huni's counter pick in order to force this Game 4.
And then actually do something I didn't expect with a Nocturne comp. Like, when we started putting all the pieces together, we're like, oh, why is he playing Nocturne? I guess he's just going to go bot lane. And actually, they played really well as a team, which is not something you always expect when you have Nocturne.
Yeah, and it's not something they did well in the first or second game.
Yes.
So that's confidence inspiring as CLG tries to get their second consecutive reverse sweep against Clutch.
All right, well, 2 more games away perhaps for CLG. So for more on how CLG have kept the series alive, let's head back to the State Farm Analyst Desk.
Thank you very much, PastryTime. I swear, it's like we're right back in the Little Caesars Arena right now. Now 2-1 stands the series score, with CLG striking back and able to extend it, looking for the reverse sweep to happen.
I wasn't there at the Little Caesars Arena, but I think I've seen this enough times from Huni where he's doing great, he's playing great, and then it's like, guys, what if I just lock in Lucian? It's great, guys, trust me. And then you guys are like, no, Huni, no, like, let's go back to the other picks you play well.
Away from Lucian.
It's like a vendetta. He's like, I will win a series on Lucian. He wants to so desperately.
Stop trying.
And once again, you see where it can find its advantages in the early game. You see that massive CS lead built in the top lane against the GP, but time and time again in the postseason, the early game advantages gained by this pick do not translate into victories for Huni.
The problem is that what Lucian's trying to do as a top laner is gain lane dominance and do all that on his own, whereas every Clutch win comes from, at least in the series, helping the bottom lane, making sure that you can play the mid game as a unit. That's not Lucian. So that pick single-handedly sabotages everything Clutch Gaming has been practicing for the last 4 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, CLG's draft as a whole was a lot better. They actually took the Rakan away this time to break it up as opposed to trying to play into Xayah Rakan, as well as the fact that I like both their solo laners, the Azir and Gangplank both being fantastic late-game carries who have pretty stable laning phases. So this was much closer to the prototypical CLG draft, which is all great, but then you just have to look at what Clutch did and scratch your head at the Lux blind instead of taking the GP, one of their best picks themselves.
Right.
And then the counter pick, like we were talking about.
I think a big part of it, though, is that since the Skarner was banned, it's very clear that Lira loves Gragas and Skarner, the Predator junglers, and they lock it in as quickly as possible for him. It seems to be an MO for Clutch Gaming that the jungler must be taken early, and CLG might be looking to exploit that later on.
It seems like CLG has just finally done the good things with draft. You know, like you said, they're taking the Rakan. They banned Skarner. They got Azir for PowerOfEvil, so that's great. And
the Kaisa showed up that you were talking about after the last game.
Also, just watching Kaisa, why does an AD need a shield? Can we get rid of that already? That seems like a lot of baloney for everybody else.
The most annoying AD carry to play against.
I think this is a very interesting game because what we'll see here in a lot of these fights, even though they're not like cataclysmic fights where it's 5-0 aces or huge trades, we're seeing to a degree just how out-comped Clutch Gaming is in this game when it comes to the full-on 5v5 matchups.
Yeah, I mean, CLG used their first Nocturne ult top, I believe, combo with the GP ult, and I know Jatt was saying it probably would have been better in the bot lane. You're more likely to generate your own lead in the bot lane, but it does stabilize your top matchup, and I think that, like you're saying, CLG super out-comped Clutch here, so if you stabilize your early game, fall 30 CS behind like what happened, but are ready to go in team fights, you're going to crush, as well as the fact that they still picked up kills all over the map.
Right.
It's really funny because you're bringing it up on the desk, so we have to remember that a lot of these fights, paranoia is active. So Clutch Gaming always looks like, oh, why are they walking around like headless chickens? It's like you're fighting over a ledge, which makes it even harder to figure out what is going on with Nocturne. So everybody's just trying to keep themselves alive, and by the time they realize, oh, the danger has surpassed, 1 or 2 members are dead.
And you're playing to some of the most punishing zone control champions in the game with GP and Azir. Like, if you step forward against those champions in the wrong way, you die, or the very best lose like 60% of your health. So it is really scary on the side of Clutch to walk forward as a unit or something like that when you might just be walking into a 5-man barrel.
Yeah, well, absolutely having no front line, right?
That
like
too.
the Gragas and the Nautilus, sure, just the tiniest amount of tankiness and survivability, but not really even, right? And so in a lot of those fights, you saw the willingness of Wiggily to be like, I'll just ult the Nautilus and kill him. And then when he's down, we just walk at the rest of the team. And you saw how much easier it was for CLG to navigate this entire game from start to finish, even while that laning phase was not going spectacularly for Ruin in the top lane.
Yeah, it has me really worried for Clutch for Game 4 because the question is this a repeat? Like, is it going to happen again? Are they going to?
It had the BM too. It had the Damonte Ziggs hover.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
The overconfidence.
I swear it's like we're back in Detroit right now because everything has played out basically to the same degree that it did in that best of 5. Clutch Gaming with side selection here in Game 4 will go back to blue side. And so again, facing the very same kind of downward spiral that they had in the last series, having that experience and being able to check themselves, right? As Artemis said in that sideline interview, hey, we were aware of it. It's the first thing we said when we came off of the second victory is let's not fall into that trap. Okay, well, step 1 just happened. So check yourselves again, right? But how do you, as Clutch Gaming on blue side, come back and just end it here, 3-1. Give me the 3-1.
I mean, it's that same energy that's going to actually might backfire, and that you're saying, okay, we have to put a stop to this now. We're not tilted. It's not going to happen. But then, oh, can you pick me the Lucian again, or can you pick me this? Trust me, not tilted. I can tell you that I am not tilted. Therefore, I will perform. And you just get into that spiral that I think that they just really need to hone back on the fundamentals and count on the guy that's the least tilted out of the team. One member needs to really bring up everybody else's spirits.
I just really want Huni on a matchup where he can actually impact the game more, and he's not playing Lucian into Nocturne and champions like that. And I think, again, a big thing is they're not going to have the Azir for mid lane on PowerOfEvil. I think if he's not on Azir, he hasn't really looked that strong on any of the other picks. So I think CLG will have to pull something better out on the red side.
Yeah, it's interesting. CLG on red side. We'll have to see what they decide to do. But I do want to actually reference the Nocturne pick. We kind of talked about a little bit of the craziness that it, creates within team fights. But to the same degree, this is not a pick that we've seen much, or if at all, in the postseason, at least here. And so maybe catching Clutch a little bit by surprise there?
Yeah, and I know that it's something that they can try and do more of, give more agency to Wiggily. He has been one of their best players. I was talking to a certain jungler backstage, Meteos, who was talking about the Skarner pick and saying, like, where's Olaf? That is such an abysmal matchup for the Skarner because he can't fight the Olaf. So he was saying, that's another option that they could potentially look at to try and shut down this Skarner without having the ability to ban it now that they're back on red side.
Seeing plenty of that in LCK and LPL getting play. So, hey, where's that pick been? The reverse sweep is still on the table. We'll see if CLG can tie up the